Hi, and welcome to A Positive Thought. I created this daily podcast because life is hard and it's actually impossible to be positive all the time. But I hope today's thought will give us a chance to stop and really reflect on something, whatever the thought is, and also have a moment of gratitude in our day, even if the moment is small, because we're all a work in progress. This is just a reminder, not professional advice. I'm your host, Candice B, and today's thought is stop making decisions based on fear. When you make decisions based on fear, you're actually giving up control of your life, and I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you or I would make a decision rooted not in facts, but fear. Because we are done with that. Right now, I want you to take a few seconds and think about what you're afraid of. I'm not talking about your fear of snakes, although I guess if that's holding you back from something like your dream of moving to Australia, it's applicable. But really, I'm talking about those fears that are hard to face. For instance, your fear of making the wrong choice, your fear of failure, your fear of success, your fear of scarcity, your fear of rejection, of change, of the unknown, of judgment, those things. Those are the things that I think keep us in the same place all the time for no reason. I felt that. I really want y'all to know that I went back and forth about creating this podcast. I thought things like, it's stupid, it's basic, I'm not perfect, so who am I to tell anybody anything? I kept asking my friends to tell me what they thought instead of trusting my gut. I thought the name was stupid because I probably can't even be positive, or the way I talk is too direct and people will think I'm mean. I went through all the emotions. I even started recording and editing and still thought about not releasing it. I mean, it's so much work. What if people don't listen? What if I'm not good enough? I actually made myself tired. Eventually, I stopped working on the podcast and sat with myself to figure out my feelings. And if you've been listening, you know I made a list. I wrote out all the reasons why I wouldn't release the podcast and the reasons why I should. Every single reason on the wouldn't list was based on fear. Fear of judgment, fear that people wouldn't like it or that I would run out of things to say, fear that I would be found out as a fraud. A fraud of what? I'm not sure. I guess I thought people would figure out that I have my own demons and tell me to go away. But ultimately, the positives outweighed the bad, and I knew how much this would help me heal, and I hoped it would maybe even help someone else. So I decided to say, screw the fear. I'm going to commit to 90 episodes, if only for myself, and then we'll see what happens. And I am so glad I did. Imagine if I hadn't. I wouldn't have connected with any of the people who've heard the podcast, and I wouldn't be as grateful as I am now. My heart is fuller than it could have ever been. This is my journey. I was built for this, or else I wouldn't have the talents for it. If you're trying to decide if you make decisions based on fear, ask yourself a few things. Do you procrastinate? Now, of course, I've already done an episode on procrastination, so listen to that if you haven't, but procrastination is one of the ways you avoid decisions because you're scared. I am so good for picking up a book and being like, oh, I'm just going to read, I'll work later, or I'll think about that idea later. Don't be like me. Do you spend your time judging other people who are doing what you want to do? Do you think, I could do it better, or she's not even that good? If so, stop that. It's jealous and it's ugly. You are better than that. Put that energy into doing it yourself. Be the best version of you. Do you avoid things because of emergencies? Is there always a fire to put out, or your kids need you, or you have to take care of your mom, or you don't have money, or whatever it is? That's probably because you're avoiding things based on fear. Don't make everything in your life an emergency. Have peace and think about what you're avoiding. You might also decide you want something and then sit back and wait for it to happen. Again, I spoke about this in the procrastination episode, but you have got to work for the goal, regardless of the fear. If you're avoiding a decision based on fear and nothing else, find an accountability partner. Before you chicken out, tell your best friend or a family member that you're going to do whatever it is, and then have them hold you accountable. Maybe do like I did and post it to your followers on social media so they know to expect it. And then work towards it. Feel the fear, think of the worst possible outcome, and then do it anyway. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Will you die? Probably not. So stop letting fear hold you hostage. Let it in, tell it you don't give a flying you know what, and do what will ultimately make you happy in the long run, because it's gonna be worth it. I know it. What are you afraid to do? Tell me on Twitter or Instagram at apositivethoughtpod so I can hold you accountable. Oh, and share this podcast with at least one person who you think needs to hear it after giving us a 5-star review, because I would appreciate you a lot for that. Until tomorrow, that's today's positive thought.